Champions. I'm Amy Morgan, the feature writer for the Marriage Initiative, and I'm delighted to introduce you to Kate Conwell. She's an IBCC certified mental health and a Kingdom Life coach who founded Journey Beyond Betrayal Ministry to help women navigate their betrayal trauma recovery. That's a hard one to say, betrayal trauma recovery. She also leads them in community as program director for Pure Life Alliance, a nonprofit ministry that equips churches and counselors to support individuals struggling with unwanted sexual behaviors. Kate, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you have this ministry, and you also are connected with the Pure Life Alliance, but all of that wouldn't have happened without your story. You're a former pole vault champion, right?
Yes, yeah, for the University of Washington.
Well, and that's kind of the beginning of your journey. But why don't you tell us kind of the rest of the story?
Yeah, so my journey, I guess, connects back to the University of Washington because that's where I met my husband. We met while competing in track and field on the team there. And then we were married shortly after college and when we were pretty young. We've now been married for 18 years, and we have two amazing sons who are following in our athletic footsteps as well. But our marriage, getting married young, like we were had our challenges, and you don't necessarily have a lot of people around you who are also married, so you don't necessarily know what's like a normal challenge versus maybe we need some extra help with this challenge. Yeah. And so 5 years into our marriage, I uncovered that he had been unfaithful for essentially the duration of our marriage, starting back to when we were engaged and even watching pornography before he even knew me. And so that obviously, the uncovering of that kind of told me like we were struggling, which we all know marriage is hard. But I think what we were facing were, a marriage rooted in lies and deception, which, that's more than just normal hard.
Right.
And so, like I said, through uncovering it and discovering it myself, and then him kind of revealing piece by piece that he had been unfaithful through text messages, through pornography, through acting out physically. Essentially, that all came out over the course of a couple of weeks in October of 2012 and left me obviously just completely devastated. The foundation of our marriage was destroyed. I was questioning, what was real, what isn't real. I'm like in the most pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. And at this point, our oldest son is one. And so we each entered into our own yes. Journeys from there. I'm really grateful that my husband chose healing and he chose to go all in on his own healing, because that choice is up to each individual to pursue healing as the betrayer or the betrayed. And then it takes both of you pursuing that healing to reunite and then find reconciliation and healing of your marriage. So we were both able to do that, and which is why we can now say that we are married for 18 plus years and have a second child who was conceived during that reconciliation process.
Well, and you did, and that just, the pain of that could just, there's so many marriage champions here who have heard that story. You are not alone, but you felt alone, and you didn't want anyone else to feel alone. So let's first talk about what you did, because you made God led you to make some really smart decisions. You reached out, and God led you to just a wonderful mentor. So let's talk about, because I think our marriage champions, they've either heard this story, they maybe have lived this story, and you have a really good roadmap.
Yeah, God really put us on a great road, which we didn't know. Like when you come into this, you have no idea what to do. But like you said, now knowing what I know, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, for like the way that you led us through this. And so, like I said, my husband chose healing and chose to pursue it. And he reached out to some people until he got connected with the couple who ended up mentoring us. I also recognized that I was totally broken and that this was not a place I wanted to stay in. Like this was pain was like too big for me to be able to figure out. I had been someone who could kind of figure things out. I had been taught and raised to like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And this was really a clashing of like, wait a minute, I can't just, this is too big. This is too big for me. And so I reached out to the community of support, my faith community, to kind of ask for help and basically say like, I can't do this on my own. And they really did wrap around me. I had a lot of women that were a part of supporting me through that time, and encouraging me and just really taking care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. And so that was a huge part of what I experienced, as well as just like diving headfirst into trying to understand what had happened and reading the books that were available. In 2012, there wasn't as nearly as much like material as there is now to help you navigate this. But I just like had a hunger to kind of understand and try to figure out what to do. And that was the best that I could, is books to help me. I looked for a support group. I tried a few. I didn't find one that was a really good fit, but I really did long to be a part of something where it was like, I feel understood, because while I had a great support system, like there was only really one other person that I connected with that like had been through it and like understood it at a deeper level, and like where you don't have to explain it. You don't, like, they get it. They can reassure you. They can point like, oh, this is what this is what I did. This is how we did this. You're not crazy. This is normal. Those kind of things is what I really needed to hear. And that's ultimately like what led me 10 years later to start the journey beyond betrayal, is that desire to make sure that other women had people who could remind them, and tell them and be with them to show them that like, this is okay. This is normal. Like you will get through this, and it's hard, and you need other people to walk through hard things with you.
Well, and you said too, back you had the mentor, you have the couple that was working with you and your husband, but sometimes you said you just wanted that other woman and you said it was so hard to find one who still remained married, because that's what where your heart was, and to find someone who you could kind of model yourself after, but also who understood. And so that's what you were trying to do and think about that. And you were working with your husband, and you were and then you had a big change in 2020. So let's talk about that. You guys had worked through things by then, obviously.
Yeah.
And
like you said, that mentor couple who was huge and pivotal and help guiding us step by step as to find the healing for our marriage, and to help my husband find healing for himself as well. But in 2020, my kids, or I guess it was 2019, both of my kids were now in school. And so I started to ask God, like, what is the purpose that you have for me now? Because I had always wanted to stay at home with my kids, and I got to do that primarily, in their younger years. But once they go off to school, it's like, okay, now what do I do at this time that they're away from 8 a.m. to 2 or 3 p.m.? And how do you want me to fill that? What do you have for me? And I really dug into trying to figure that out. And he didn't answer it like for a while. And as we all know, like COVID happened in 2020, and there was
a little disruption in there.
there yes, there was a huge disruption, and I'm grateful for how he brought all of this about to be. And the timing, we all look back and we know the timing is perfect, but when you're living in it, you're like, okay, God, I've been praying and I'm doing these Bible studies about purpose, and what is it that you want me to do? And in 2022, we had by this time moved. My kids were even older. Now they're back in school again. So I'm like, okay, God, like I'm still wondering and still praying. And he kind of dropped it on me in a very unique way, to like this assignment of creating a community for women who had experienced infidelity, which we had always been open with our story and shared it as it made sense, not just shouting it from the rooftop or going on podcasts to share it, but as it made sense in our life to share that, because we want to bring into the light what we've lived so that other people can benefit from that and see the hope and the healing that we've experienced, pointing it all to God, because he's the author of that story. But I was just like, one night I was part of a community that was like setting up online communities. Like that was the purpose of being in this group. And it was like, what have you known? What have you lived? What have you loved? And you can create a community around that. And I had not considered really infidelity as the thing that I wanted to build a community around.
Definitely not what you loved, but definitely what you had lived.
But I had lived it. Yeah. And so when I kind of was working through like, okay, what do I want to do with this? Like when I came to that realization as I was filling out all these like questions and stuff, I was like, this is it. Like, and I really actually had this huge amount of excitement. I was like knowing, you know, like this is the answer of like 3 years of prayer. And also just, you know, I can provide what I longed for to other women. And it was a really beautiful, like just uncovering of like what is my purpose and assignment in this period of my life. And so I jumped headfirst into like figuring out what that means and how I would do that. But the desire just to provide a space where women could navigate infidelity together is really where this all came from.
In support. And then the thing I love about your story is you redeemed the day.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure. So I mentioned October 2012. And this was spring of 2022 that this idea came to me. And so by the time I got it all together, I was like, oh, wait, it's almost that same day that I discovered, you know, the same day women call it D-Day, the worst thing that the worst day of my life. I'm going to redeem that day and flip the script on the enemy and say what God, you know, what you meant for evil, God is using for good, and really turn the page and say that this day now marks the day that I launched the Journey Beyond Betrayal. And so it was 10 years to the day of that D-Day that I went live on Facebook to kind of share with people what I was doing and invite them to be a part of it. And so that day now is like not the worst day. It's this new meaning for me and our family. So I really love that piece of it too.
I do too, very much. Well, let's share with our marriage champions what you offer at Journey Beyond Betrayal. You've got the website, and then you have some free resources. You have, how to access it. Let's go on through that.
Yeah. So on the website, you can find there's several free resources that I provide, and that, you know, is a growing library of resources that people have access to. And I will say, don't say don't me too much, but when you sign up for one resource, you actually will get access to all of them. So for those marriage champions out there, like, well, you don't have to just tell everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's not really a secret. I want people to know, like, they don't have to sign up for each one. Once you sign up for one, you will get access to all of the free resources. And to pick the one that you think makes the most sense to share, or for if you're a woman on this journey, like that makes the most sense for where you're at, or for someone you're supporting, what would make the most sense for them. There's also, I also offer coaching. So like one-on-one support for women who are stuck, who really need like personalized guidance to help them. Like somebody led me step by step, like through everything that I was struggling with and wrestling with in a very personal way, because the journey, while very similar for everyone, the feelings and the struggles, like how you actually play that out in your life can look very different based on who you were when you came into the pain, and also the like how your husband's responding, and then what kind of vision you have for where you want to go. And so that the coaching is designed to meet a woman where she is and help guide her step by step towards the healing and freedom that she desires on the other side of this, and that God really intends for all of us to experience. And
how do they get connected with that coaching if they want to? There's a really easy on-ramp, but I want you to do that.
Yep. From my website, you can, like, journeybeyondbetrayal.com is the best place to start. And then you'll see a tab for free resources. You can learn more about coaching, and you can see all the podcast episodes I've been on if you want to hear more of my story and in-depth or tools that I've recommended. So the website is really where you're going to go to figure out. And I think it's pretty easy to navigate to find whatever you're looking for. And from there too, I mean, if you're interested in coaching or need some ideas about next steps, there's a free call that you can book from the website and from the resources tab, as well as from the page where you learn more about coaching. So I try to make it very easy to get connected. And then also when you sign up for any of the free resources, you'll get added to my email list, which continues to send support, encouragement, tools, tips to help navigate. The newsletter is really designed for women who are in the aftermath of infidelity and looking for support. But of course, like any marriage champion is welcome to join it and kind of see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And it would give you some ideas as well, how to support someone along the journey.
Yeah.
And what someone's really feeling and going through.
Yeah. And then they connect, if they can do a free call with you and see if that coaching is something that they want to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you offer. And you
Yes.
do the meetings, and you have a whole program. You have some pillars that you talk about with the ladies.
Yep. The pillars that I utilize in my coaching is really just depends on like where meeting people where they're at, like helping you understand and process and survive, the initial shock of discovery, understanding what you're feeling and experiencing and your response to the trauma, and then finding some stability to really start to rebuild, find some stable ground on which to rebuild, getting clear about what it is that you're working towards. And then, you can start to like take some steps forward, rebuilding trust, redefining what your marriage is going to look like, or your life is going to look like next, as well as building some skills that are going to help you navigate this journey. And then ultimately like stepping into really making this like what women want is like for this to go away. But ultimately at the end of healing, you have to find a way to incorporate what has happened to you into the bigger picture of your marriage. Yeah. And that's not an easy thing to do by any means, but we have to figure out how our trauma fits into this bigger picture rather than focusing so narrowly on what has happened to us. But it's just, so those are kind of the ways that we will work together in coaching. And no matter where you are, like, it's not like you have to start here. Some people are already in one step or the other once when they start to work with me, depending on the work that they've already done. So yeah. I meet them where they are and then walk forward from there.
And you have a really cool video messaging app too that you were telling me about. I'm like, is it like FaceTime? And you're like, well, no, it's a little better than that.
It's like FaceTime on your own time.
Yeah.
So I use Marco Polo in between my coaching sessions with people. So when you book a package, it's in 3 or 6 months of support. And so that means that you're not just getting support in those twice a month coaching sessions, but I really want people to feel supported in between as well. So Marco Polo is the name of the app. And it's something I use in coaching as well as my personal life. And I'm not like an affiliate for them but I do highly recommend it. It's a way to just connect. You can send video messages back and forth. And so it's a way to be seen and to process things with me in between sessions. And so that way you're not just like waiting for 2 weeks to see me again, but you can say, hey, like, I had a really hard day yesterday, or, hey, I just had this happened, or, hey, like I did that thing that we talked about in our session and my homework and it went really well. So it's way to touch base in between and have continual support throughout the 3 to 6 months that we're working together, or, the package that you've bought in.
Yeah, I just thought that was really neat. I had not heard of that before. So, well, and one of the things, going back to your story, that you found that you longed for was that community.
Mm-hmm.
And started developing a community with Journey Beyond Betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going well.
Yes. Yeah.
And just the rest of the story as we
Thank you. Yeah. So initially, Journey Beyond Betrayal was a community of support for women. And then it branched also into the one-on-one coaching support that I continue to provide. But back in the spring of 2025, I was kind of wrestling with like, what is happening? Like, things were not continuing to grow. I wasn't seeing the community side of things kind of reach the potential that I had hoped for. And so I was really wrestling with like, okay, God, like, what is, maybe this season is over. Maybe this was something you called me to for a season. And I started to pray about what it was that he wanted for me next. And through that prayer, I was introduced to, or through that time of prayer, I was introduced to Jeremy Waldridge, who's the executive director of Pure Life Alliance. And he and I started a conversation. I was very transparent about like, I'm struggling a little bit. And he's like, well, we're struggling a little bit, we're growing, and we need some support. And so maybe what would it look like for us to join forces and see if that kind of answers both of our prayers. And ultimately, he invited me to join the team as the program's manager and oversee both their women's support program as well as the support groups that they have for men who are struggling with unwanted sexual behaviors. And so ultimately, the community has now, as of the fall of 2025, joined into the community support that Pure Life Alliance provides. And it's a very similar model to what Journey Beyond Betrayal was offering. And so this transition has been very smooth because what the women were getting is very similar to what Pure Life Alliance offers, as far as like a weekly meeting where you can check in, share what you're going through, share what your week has been like, the struggles and celebrations that you have experienced since the last meeting, as well as reading books to help empower you and equip you about your journey, and then you discuss those together. So they still get to have the same resources that I was providing, just under the umbrella of like an established ministry that has been around for 20 plus years. And so for the longevity of what I was providing, it really made more sense to partner up with an established ministry. And I mean, like you said, this is the marriage initiative, and we can sometimes those things all connect and
it's just a great fit for everyone. Now, Pure Life Alliance also works with churches, correct? But in the programs, I know there were quite a few, men's and women's. How many were there, or are there?
Right now we have 4 women's groups, and so 2 are online and 2 are in person. And for the men, the men's side is a bit more robust. I'm not sure exactly how many. I would say there's 20 plus groups, and we just launched our first online group for men. So this is as of our discussion right now, but we've been experiencing a lot of growth. So by the time this airs, there could be more online groups. There could be more local groups. Most of the groups are in the Pacific Northwest for in-person groups. But we are expanding our online presence, which is part of what I'm bringing to the team, because the Journey Beyond Betrayal was all online. And so we would love for everybody to have an in-person group. Obviously, there's connection that you can get when you're in person, but that's not available everywhere. And sometimes it doesn't work for timing, or, people with their work schedule or their home schedule or kids. So there's both. We get to provide both depending on what you need and where you are.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk a little bit about the men's group, because you have also a personal experience with that, with your husband, and the difference that has made in his life as you were pursuing you had your healing together with a mentor couple, and then you had your journey with the resources you were, seeking, and the woman that helped you. But your husband also did some work too, that is transitions and is is in keeping with what Pure Life Alliance is providing. So I want you to touch on that, because it was really important.
For sure. Yeah. He was able to find a group to connect with that understood what he was going through, other men who had experienced the same thing, the same struggle. And so that was pivotal in his healing. It was also a thing that once he found it, I was like, this needs to be a part of our boundaries, our recovery process for you to continue to be in the group. And so he's still a part of that group and has continued to get benefit out of being in that group and uncovering like the why behind his behaviors, because this isn't just about behavior modifications. It's about discovering the heart issue and the root issue, and how to fill that God-sized hole that men are you filling with pornography or sexual acting out, to how to fill that with God. And really that's an issue that a lot of people struggle with, and they're not always filling it with unwanted sexual behaviors, but it is a struggle that I think a lot of people can relate to. It's like where we search out something to fill a hole that only God can fill. And so these groups being in community can help you uncover, what is it? and why are you doing these behaviors, and then be with other people who understand and are going to encourage you, hold you accountable. I mean, the men's groups, there's a lot of accountability there.
Yeah.
In the Pure Life Alliance groups, they create an accountability line, and they check in about it every week so that you have someone that is there to, help hold you accountable to what it is that you really want for yourself. But we know that when you have an accountability partner in anything, you're going to be more successful at achieving it. And so those groups provide a safe place for men to really be who they are and be accepted in that mess, but also be encouraged to come out of it and become the man that God created them to be. And
Well,
so
you've seen that in your own family with the way your husband now parents your boy, your early teenage boy.
Yes, yeah. I just started reading one of Julie Slattery's books about sexuality, and it was saying that, parents aren't talking to their kids about sex, and it's something that we've been very intentional about, and I think he's equipped to do because of his journey and because of the growth he's experienced and all that he's learned by being a part of this group. It doesn't just change him as a man, it changes him as a husband, it changes him as a father, it changes him as a member of the church and the community. And so when men or women, whatever, like, you're healing from, when you find that healing, it really does impact every part of your life. And so you think of it as like, I need to heal from this thing, but it's really, I think, when you experience the depth of brokenness that infidelity can bring with it, it also brings the opportunity to experience the freedom and healing that God really wants for you to uncover and break free from the things that were holding you from being the person that God really intended for you to be.
And that really changes the whole legacy. You talked about not just dealing with this thing, but how it fits in your story of who you are and changing your legacy. Now, before we go, I want to make sure we get a chance. You just released a new book, Anchored, for Your Life Alliance, to be used with the group. So let's talk about that briefly.
Yep. So when you join a Pure Life Alliance group, you not only get the support of a community, but you are also paired with a mentor who is just a man or a woman who is a few steps ahead of you on the journey to walk through the healing with you. And so we utilize, on the men's side, we have 3 books. On the women's side, we just are releasing the first book to replace what was the mentor manual for the women. And so Anchored is available now for women, and it's an 8-week journey. It's 8 chapters written by 8 different authors who are, thought leaders in betrayal trauma or their field, and passionate about a specific chapter topic that is addressed in it. And I'm so excited for this to be a resource for both Pure Life Alliance. It will be, and it's available to the public as well. But the information in the book is like, every word, I was like, I could have written that. I totally agree. Like, it's a great resource, and I'm excited to have it available. And so, like, yeah, you can, you would read through that chapter week by week with your mentor. There's discussion questions, there was reflection, there's practice exercises that you go through that really are there designed to facilitate more in-depth healing. And there will be 3 books. This is the first of 3 for the women. Like I said, there's already 3 books established for the men, and the process looks very similar. They're paired with a mentor man who's already read through that book and walked that journey and is just a few steps ahead. So it's really the power of story and your own testimony to help someone else's story and testimony, because we don't have to have it all figured out. We just have to be a few steps further. And that's what these mentor manuals provide, is the opportunity to use your story and learn from another person, as well as being equipped with knowledge and information that are going to help your healing at the place that you're at.
Oh, and so you, again, like you said, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be a therapist or a counselor. You can just be a marriage champion and decide that you're going to be a mentor, because the information and the workbook and everything is all there for you. Well, Katie, thank you so much. We just appreciate you speaking about this sensitive topic and sharing your story. This has been so encouraging, and I know that there are many who've listened to it that find this really, that are going to find this very important and resourceful.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to do it, and I'm grateful for the assignment that God finally revealed to me, and being able to walk that out in such a real way.
Wow. We're just glad you could be with us. And as always, Marriage Champions, if you'd like to find out more about Kate and her resources, you can find us at marriageinitiative.org or marriageresources.org.